Hello, cars. All right, we got the Corvette running out here. It's got to head over to the dealership. Finally, after, let's just say, I don't know. It's 2 years, probably 2 years. Or is it 1 year? No, 1 year. Okay, so it's been 1 full year because we got this at the beginning of the pandemic. This Corvette has finally shown weakness in that it's now popped a check engine light, and it's going on adventure drives. Customer rented it to drive it on adventure drives from DC to Nashville, and that's coming up legitimately in like 24 hours. It's got to leave on Wednesday morning to get down there, and we got to get that sorted out because check engine light's normally not really a big deal. This one, and I don't even know. I think when I started it up, it actually went away. This one did a good job for 19,974 miles. So if you look, where is it? Right there. It's had a good run, and it's held up remarkably well. I mean, you can't look and see like wear on the seats. I mean, we'll go through that in a second. But the check engine light that this thing popped, it was a transmission light. And then it gave 3 codes. So it's one that's just a general transmission light, which is just like when there's an issue with the transmission, this light comes up. By the way, check some other codes. And then the other 2 was a high pressure and a low pressure in fluid in the transmission line. So I would tend to not give a lot of credence to that, because why would the pressure be both high and low? It would either throw high pressure or low pressure. That would indicate there's an issue. I think it may be something inconsequential, which is why I think we'll probably have this car ready to go for the rental. But knowing the dealership, honestly, when you bring a car to a dealership, like you'd expect it to get looked at and they'd have a resolution or at least a direction in a couple hours. I haven't gotten that vibe so far with Chevy. We just had this car over at the dealership for a recall, and it was ready like 3 days prior. And they're like, oh yeah, that guy was out. Oh yeah, it's here, it's ready. And I'm like, why is nobody calling me? My car's been ready for 4 days and you don't call me, it just sits there. So we're going to a different Chevy dealership now. But here, let's take a quick look at this. And you can see all the wear items. Like, there is, for 20,000 miles, and there's legitimately no actual wear on the seats or anything like that. You'll see Ferraris and everything like that suffering significant wear on the touch points and the seats, especially on the bolsters. Because, I mean, you think of all the, we're fat Americans. All the fat Americans that roll into these things. And they're actually holding up really well. The steering wheel's holding up really well. It's built Chevy tough. And other than that, I mean, the car is immaculate. I'm very happy with this one. The convertible we've got coming in is probably due. I mean, they called me to verify the spec a little while ago, probably 2 months ago. So I'd expect it in the next few weeks. But as far as fleeting up, I've got the convertible, and I'm going to keep the coupe throughout the season and sell this at the end of the year. I'm doing the same thing with the 488 Spider and keeping I'm getting the Tributo Spider, but also keeping the 488 Spider for the year. But I mean, everything is looking really good. Still, ever since that one time that we had to repair the hood and everything like that, nothing. Everything is good. All the wheels are not scratched. I mean, this is sort of what you want to rent. It's perfectly clean car. And I think it's doing really well. I'm curious to see what this is. This is the first time. It took 20,000 miles. See, I'm just showing you everything. Very pretty. 20,000 miles to throw a check engine light. And that's a testament. I mean, it's seen its burnouts, it's seen whatever, it's now on its second set of tires, maybe third. I think second. I think we got like 14,000 miles out of the first set, and then this thing's got 5,000 miles on it. But holding up really well. Very impressed with this. We'll see what these check engine lights are. The whole point of this was to make a video being like, oh, finally got a check engine light, and the damn thing doesn't even show up on the dash now. So it's either fixed itself because it's been on for the past couple of days, or it is something that's just intermittent, or maybe that would indicate that it's just a sensor or something like that that's fritzy or bad, or maybe a bad wire that would cause that. But I looked it up, and it wasn't the most uncommon thing. People have seen that those codes on these cars, but we'll see what happens. This car's doing really well. I'm very happy with it for 20,000 miles. Look, let's, you know what, just, and this doesn't really count because this is a sort of a 2-owner car. But yes, you know what? It's the difference between privately owned and rental. But yeah, here, look, see these little marks on my seat? This is a 20,000 mile Ferrari. And even so, without it probably would be more beat up if it was a rental car. It shows wear a little bit worse than the Chevys and the Corvettes do. But these cars are awesome. Honestly, if you haven't driven one, and I know people still line up to drive them, this thing crushes the game. It's still probably our most popular car. The Porsches are always popular as well, but this car does very, very well. More popular than the C7s that we had, Z06s, or whatever trim level. The base Corvette was probably the most successful and most desirable rental car that we've purchased in the last 20 years as far as consistent volume over the course of more than a year. I mean, we've got cars that go out all the time, but this, like, it's just stacked one on top of the other, and then we lose rentals because we just don't have enough of them. So if you have a rental company, get one of these. If you don't have a rental company, get one of these. It's just the only problem I see with this car is that once they're in every other driveway, because it's such a great value, you're going to run into a problem that everyone's going to sort of like, oh yeah, it's just with those things. And that's always been the problem with Corvette, is production volume. Same thing most other sports cars like Fords and the Camaros and the Mustangs and everything like that. You legitimately see them every 5 feet, and that's just something that when you buy something like this, it makes you feel special when you drive it, but you also want to feel special when you roll up and it's like, oh yeah, well, that's a cool car, buddy. And if it's like, yeah, you know, I see those all the time, like a Mercedes or a BMW, it sort of wears off its appeal. So anyway, I'll let you know what happens. I expect to see it in DC in 36 hours. If that doesn't happen, I'll let you know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check engine light, check engine light, what's a big deal? It's 20,000 miles of rental use and not one, essentially other than oil change, not one service visit. And that's a huge testament. I made the video about the Subaru. My wife got a brand new Subaru. The brakes were shot, the tires were shot. And this is all like normal use. This car was built much better. It's got people driving it, test driving it effectively. And this car sees a lot of actual, what it was designed to be used for. And you look at that and it holds up perfectly well, and it just laughs at you. That's pretty impressive. You want a C8, you don't want a C8, whatever, go get them. It's a good time to have one because they're still very, very popular. And I can't wait. I'll let you know when the next one comes in. And I'll let you know what happens with this, if it's something serious or just a basic check engine light that they can clear out, and we'll call it a day. Thank you for watching. Rob Ferretti. See you tomorrow. Spoiler alert, it's back. So, dealer said there was an update. They had to update the solenoid pins or something like that. Should be good to go. So simple as that. Disaster averted. On its way to DC for adventure drives, and it's going to be nice and clean. But then it's going on an open trailer, so hopefully it doesn't rain. Anyway, there's your update. Corvette was bad, not so bad, all good. We'll see how it does on the road trip, and we'll find out if it's truly good or not. All right, thanks for watching the whole video. You know my other company, Adventure Drives. Well, we've got 3 drives coming up this year. We're doing a DC to Nashville drive through Tail of the Dragon, through the Smoky Mountains, drinking some moonshine. That's going to be a great time. That's in the end of April. Interested in something longer? Well, we're going to go to France and Spain for our European drive this summer. That's going to be in the first week of August. And Scotland, which you've heard so much about, will again be this coming October. So check them out, adventuredrives.com. There's a link below in the description.